My name's Maddie Task, like mad the emotion with an I at the end, and then task like task force, lots of words. I'm gonna play a couple songs for you guys. This first one is about coming back to yourself when you've gone through some shit, and it's called Come Home. How does that sound? Got it? Sweet. I don't wanna go around another time. The nausea's next level and I'm trapped on the inside. There's a glimmer in the tree to the right, inviting me to shift paradigms. Orange bottle baby fed familiar voice within. Nice to finally hear from ya. I hear you saying, come home. Turn on the lights, baby. Did you find a goal? You know you only grow when you don't get it right, baby. So just take it slow and come home. Chug a glass of water, lubricate the pipes. Forgot how to do all the small talk. I only scream and write and cry. Is the glimmer in the trees a guiding light? Is it right? Anxiety makes my intuition blind. Barely open, bloodshot red eyes are dancing. Past lives offering hope and love and second chances to come home. Turn on the lights, baby. Did you find a goal? You know you only grow when you don't get it right, baby. So just take it slow and come home. Crawl back if that's what you gotta do. Life's not worth it from your bedroom. Start small, stand tall, make unfamiliar moves. 'Cause I gotta get back to you. And come home. Turn on the lights, baby. Did you find a goal? You know you only grow when you don't get it right, baby. So just take it slow and come home. Turn on the lights, baby. Did you find a goal? You know you only grow when you don't get it right, baby. So just take it slow and come home. Come home. All right. So I write songs about a lot of things. I tend to write a lot about mental health. That last one was one of the mental health category songs, probably. This next song, we're going to go down a little bit of a dark direction, and then we'll come back up, I promise. You can trust me. If I could actually figure out how it goes. Oh, that's why, because it's on the right capo. I like to describe this next song as like Death Cab for Cutie meets Female Rage. So if you identify, you identify. It's called Canvas. My body is not a buffet for grazing. Look what happened to the child you're raising. It takes a village, and I became an outlaw. Hollow branches on the family tree. are bound to fall. My father said I should use paint as my paintbrush. He's filled my palette with shades of blue and blush. Guess no one's gonna save us. So I punched through the canvas. Your ego is not looking too peachy. Still it bruises whenever I get preachy. But tonight will be the first time, and damn it, the last time, I choose to drown in wine instead of knowing I'm of sound mind. My father said I should use paint as my paintbrush. He's filled my palette with shades of blue and blush. Guess no one's gonna save us. Oh, I'm showing you the canvas. If you just look up. If I am the flower field and he is the gasoline, every season dousing me, risking a fire. Well, what if I just struck a match? Would you sit with me? Burn what we thought was evergreen, in the name of finally seeing through the trees. Paintbrush. He's filled my palette with shades of blue and blush. Guess no one's gonna save us. Oh, yet here I hang the canvas. Thanks. Could I get a little more guitar on the monitor? Yeah, thank you. All right, we're gonna stay down and dark for a while, but I promise we're gonna ride it right back up. So that first song, Come Home, is kind of about when you kind of go through a lower period and you kind of start seeing parts of yourself again, like your healthy self again, and you're very excited to like kind of coax her back in. This next song I started writing it kind of from the opposite place, where it kind of started about me just kind of like getting really mad at myself and being really picky about myself and things I thought that I was doing wrong. And who wants to finish writing a song where you just shit on yourself the entire time? Like, that's not fun. And then I realized, because therapy, I need to give myself more compassion, which is like the answer to everything, apparently. So that's what the song ended up being about. And it's honestly one of my favorites that I've written this year, and it's called Paperweight. All she does is get high and act like life's an adventure, so immobilized by the fear of failure. Or maybe it's fear that she's never really been sure where she's supposed to go, where they need her most. Self-centered, lazy baby keeps to herself lately. Oh, you knew her in college, did you? 2 times her size, her hair is light, now she stays up all night. looking for things to do. If it's not smoke, it's her iPhone. She's leading the pack or she's rolling alone. Yeah, she's more than a stone's throw from where she used to be. Made to feel like a criminal for going all mental and asking her doctor for what she needs. I've got her habits stuck in the madness. She's not free from me yet, tangled in the ribbons like Macy's Thanksgiving parade. I'm flying overhead, trying to give direction. She calls it protection, playing dress up as a paperweight. Now she wants to skip lunch, can't be bothered to make the effort. But later that night, she might eat until it hurts. Oh, wasting away inside. At least it puts no one in danger. No one but her. Self-centered, lazy baby, I scream, just hide in your diary. You're your own best bet, you see. She fights with screen time, she won't realize no one's on her side like she can be. But the bad habits, they brighten up the madness. She's not free from me yet, tangled in the ribbons like Macy's Thanksgiving parade. I'm flying overhead, trying to give direction. She calls it protection, playing dress up as a paperweight. Hey, yeah, I'm talking to you, but it's not how I want to. Oh no, the dark side of my cloud is down and you can't see the sunlight dripping over me. And so the bad habits are all she's ever had, and she can't be free from me yet, tangled in the ribbons like Macy's Thanksgiving parade. I'm flying overhead, screaming down like thunder. We're both going under until I make friends with the paperweight. Hey, hey, yeah. How do you make friends with the paperweight? Hey, hey, yeah. Oh, we're going down. Can I unplug the guitar to go to piano? Good? Sweet. All right. Oopsies.
Yeah, I told you it was.
I know, you called it. That's the exact one you called. I was prepared. Round of applause for Tony. Please, running sound. Kick-ass job. All right. I wanted to play one song for you guys on piano. It's not my primary instrument, but I do try my best. And this song was long overdue. It just needed to be written. So I got out of a 5.5-year relationship last year, and it's obviously proved great for inspiration. But now that I'm like dating again, it sucks. And I just had a night where I was like out with my friends, sad over some dumb boy, and my friend kind of looked at me. She's a real one. And she was like, I'm gonna be honest with you, this is not something you should be sad about. Like this shouldn't be making you sad. You shouldn't be letting this make you sad. You should just be like getting rid of him kind of thing. And I was like, just hung up on it because I got home and I was like, I agree with you, but I don't know what it is that I don't know. And so I went home, and between the hours of 3 and 5 in the morning, I wrote this song, and it is one of my favorites that I've written, honestly, but it captures that overthinking, just can't get out of your head kind of vibe. It's appropriately titled Worthless. Yeah. When did I become crazed, deluded, mind polluted, craving someone who could ruin me? He's not taking the bait, He doesn't ask girls on dates. I wish he'd just say he hated me. I know I'm not crazy, reading the signs that are backwards and upside down. Not trying to gallivant you around town, just express some interest. You know the difference. Why am I the one always waiting on men to make up their minds on whether or not I'm worth their free time? Why do I cause so much debating? First I say the right thing, then I say the wrong thing. Did I ever look promising? 'Cause honestly, I don't know how you look worth it when I feel worthless. How are you still worth it? Clearly I don't need a lot. I've made my way with the love I got. Oh, it wasn't taught to me. I read reactions to rewrite history. And baby, I deserve the best. I don't know why I let you test me. All my friends want me to give it a rest, and yet here I am. Why am I the one always waiting on men to make up their minds on whether or not I'm worth their free time? Why do I cause so much debating? First I say the right thing, then I say the wrong thing. Did I ever look promising? 'Cause honestly, I don't know how you look worth it when I feel worthless. How are you still worth it? When I look at you, I swear I can't move. I don't get the point you're trying to prove. Reciprocate, then obfuscate. Either way, it's a losing game. And I played, and I prayed for it. Why am I the one always waiting on men to make up their minds on whether or not I'm worth their free time? Why do I cause so much debating? First I say the right thing, then I say the wrong thing. Did I ever look promising? 'Cause honestly, I don't know how you look worth it when I feel worthless. Bought a ticket but ended up in the circus. How the hell are you still worth it when I feel worthless? Thanks. Oh boy, we are struggling up here. All right, we're going back to Happy Land now, I promise. Woo! In truth, a majority of songs I write are pretty uppity and boppity and happy. But you know, you just have those days. This next one is kind of the opposite of worthless. Can you hear that? Sweet. This next one's kind of the opposite of worthless, but also the same, where it's just a little song about being single and not really wanting to get into a relationship because, like I said, we got out of a pretty big relationship. We're not trying to get in anything soon. And I just wanted to write a little song about, you know, kind of thing that I'm looking for, which some of you might relate to. And it's called Just My Type. If I could figure us out by now, I wouldn't. 'Cause getting lost in the crowd's my favorite. See, I like to play in the gray space, baby. So if you think you want me, I need you to prove it. And it's got nothing to do with you and your kind of life. Yeah, it's all got to do with me and everything that happened to mine. 'Cause if you're looking for easy, you turn down the wrong street. Maybe it could turn into something you think. Yeah, if you're looking for a lifetime like no other, someone you would drop $1 on to meet your mother, then baby, you're not meant for my life. But if you're looking for twilights in the summer, if you're only looking for some fun under the covers, then baby, you're just my type. You're just my type. Ooh, you're just my type. Ooh, and I know I've been texting you too late at night. I mean, a woman has needs, but I don't mean to objectify. And if you asked me, I'd talk all night. But I also know what that means in most people's eyes. See, my bottom line is to try and always have a good time. Hey, do you think it's a crime if we keep at this? No promises. Are we breaking the rules if I text too much? Just because I'm a talker, not because I want commitment. Yeah, if you're looking for a lifetime like no other, someone you would drop $1 on to meet your mother, then baby, you're not meant for my life. But if you're looking for twilights in the summer, if you're only looking for some fun under the covers, then baby, you're just my type. You're just my type. Ooh, you're just my type. Ooh, I gotta give credit where credit's due. It's not easy to get me where I get to with you. Hey, what you doing tonight? 'Cause I'm checking the vibe and you're just my type. So if you're looking for a lifetime like no other, someone you would drop $1 on to meet your mother, then baby, you're not meant for my life. But if you're looking for twilights in the summer, if you're only looking for some fun under the covers, baby, you're just my type. You're just my type. Ooh, you're just my type. Ooh, you're just my type. Will you come on by, 'cause you're just my type. How are we doing on time? Do I got one left? Sweet. That is what I planned. All right. This last one I'm going to play, I actually just recorded, and it's coming out on Friday, September 1st. Woo! I'm so excited for this one. I got to record at Secret Studio with Kaylee Featherstone, if anyone knows her. Her artist name is Mucus, like Kiss. Mucus, yeah. She's a badass, and she made the song everything that I could have dreamed and hoped for. So I'm very excited to show it to you. But today I'm going to play it how it was originally written, which is a little bit lower. And this is the breakup song that I wrote after I got out of my long-term relationship, basically, because I was looking for a lot of breakup songs that were like, I needed like a grateful breakup song. It was a very healthy breakup, which I know that I'm kind of lucky to have gone through that, but a lot of breakup songs are like, I want to burn your car down and your house, and that just wasn't the energy that I was going for. So I had to write one of my own, and it's called Old Wives' Tale. I got a man, not a boy. When I said I needed joy, he said, you better go and find some. I'm so proud of you for doing what you're meant to. I know you're really gonna be someone. Hey. Made you go minds without sex, but still say you got no regrets. I need the girls of the world to hear this one. Sometimes it doesn't work, and when you're feeling like the worst, I'll say you gave us your all. That's all I can want. Your patience was a presence from the start. You'll always have a place in my heart. I can be the wind in your sail, go where they're calling you homeward bound. Writing up an old wives' tale, 25 and hurting, so we pulled back the curtains and found I made the right step every step of the way. If you keep the love, your love will keep you safe. Like an old wives' tale, learn it like collegiate. Good men love you on the way out. Hey. And I know I haven't married, but I don't find love so scary when I go for the men I know I can count on. Treated me with respect, I know now he sends his best. Always been me and him versus our problems. You knew all the science behind my art. You'll always have a place in my heart. I can be the wind in your sail, go where they're calling you homeward bound. Writing up an old wives' tale, 25 and hurting, so we pulled back the curtains and found I made the right step every step of the way. If you keep the love, your love will keep you safe. Like an old wives' tale, learn it like collegiate. Good men love you on the way out. Hey. You know I'll be the wind in your sail, go where they're calling you homeward bound. Writing up an old wives' tale, 25 and hurting, boy, when we were certain we'd found the other half that the world couldn't break. Good thing we kept the love because it kept us safe. Like an old wives' tale, telling all these women, good men love you on the way out. Don't you forget it, I don't regret it. We had to end it, but you loved me on my way out. Thanks. That's all I got for you. You can follow me on Instagram at Always Off Task, and yeah, let's get the sync licensing talk started.
For Madi. Come on, everyone. Thank you, Madi. That was really great. Look for Madi's music on all the likely suspect social media channels and platforms. And don't forget she has a new single coming out, so be sure to check that out. I'm really glad to see all you guys here and supporting us as we support you, for you're the reason we exist. And before I bring up our esteemed moderator and our next panel, I want to just remind you that our Gift of Music Instrument Drive starts this coming weekend. And this is our 5th annual, and because of people like yourselves and people throughout the community, we've contributed to this date $327,000 of instruments to our public schools, after-school programs, charter schools. So if you've got that extra piece of gear or instrument, and if you don't have an instrument to donate, you can go to giftofmusic.info and make a small cash donation. So again, thanks for turning out. And tonight we're really afforded the presence of and the mindset of one of our wonderful local music professionals, Lisa Cave, who's going to introduce you to a deep dive into the world of sync licensing. Lisa, where are you?
Hello. I've got too many microphones. Thank you. While we're getting set up, one of my favorite things about events like this is the hang, right? I feel like so many of you never get a chance to really see each other. You're either on stage or they're on stage and it's loud. So I love getting to see so many conversations happening and so many connections happening. And that's one of my favorite parts. So thanks for coming out tonight. I'm Lisa Cave. I'm going to introduce my friends in just a minute. But also, I don't know if you paid attention at all before, or if you got here early enough. There was a playlist playing before Madi. Let's hear it for Madi Task again. But before that, there was a playlist playing. And first and foremost, all of the music was artists from Columbus. Secondly, every single one of those songs has also been heard in a TV show or in a movie or a video game or a commercial. That's what sync licensing is. That's what we're here to talk about tonight. And that playlist was all over the place. So there were rappers, there was singer-songwriters, there was a cover song, there were instrumentals. So there's opportunity in sync licensing for every single one of you in this room. So I'm so excited to have tonight with us a few different artists from Columbus that are working in sync licensing and doing some really good things. So first of all, we've got her. So joining us from her home studio, Heather Evans is an award-winning singer-songwriter, podcast host, and artist coach. Focusing on building her catalog over the past 4 years, Heather's music has been featured on Fox's So You Think You Can Dance, MTV's Teen Mom, ABC's Dancing with the Stars, Disney's Fairy Tale Wedding, and it's also the theme song from Made in California podcast and more. Thank you for coming, Heather. Z Wolf is a producer, composer, solo artist, and one half of the band Damn the Witch Siren. He has released several albums across a variety of genres and scored music for the films Poser and Extremophilia. His original works have also been featured in the A&E film Under the Bed and the Netflix series Elite. Thanks for being here, Z. And Brian Skeel works with artists all over the world to help them produce amazing records. He is an artist in the cinematic metal outfit Void chapter on Fixed Records, as well as the dark rock group Fine Citizens with Heather Evans and also Jason Turner, who's in the audience also. Brian is a passionate educator and teaches music production through his platform, Fearless Producer. Thank you so much for being here. So I think let's just start at the beginning. What was your first introduction to sync? How did you get into sync licensing? Do you want to start, Heather, so we can make sure we can hear you?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll start. So my journey, I started, oh my gosh, long ago. I produced a full-length album when I was 17 years old, and at 18, some of my songs ended up on MTV's Laguna Beach. If anyone remembers that show, that'll tell me how old you are. And yeah, so that was my kind of like start to an intro to getting my songs in TV shows. And then I also had some of those songs on a Nickelodeon teen show, and was just doing music along the way and realized like this is something I could do for the rest of my life. Like I could do music licensing in every phase of my life. So as I got older, I started having kids, had to take a little pause and break with music and sync licensing for a bit. But I remembered that success that I had when I was 18 years old and just sort of like plugged in the formula. I knew I needed great songs. I needed broadcast quality songs like that you could hear on a TV show or on the radio, and found a producer in California that I knew could make that happen and started building my catalog from there. And so that was 2018. And I've been on the road ever since and have had so many successes, with getting my songs on TV shows. So yeah, awesome. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah. Thank you.
This is so awesome.
And see, you've been doing this for a while too. And you've also composed for films in addition to placing your own music and Damn the Witch Siren's music.
That is correct.
What was your...
Have a great night.
Thanks for coming out, everybody. What was one of your what was the most memorable first kind of experience that you had with sync licensing?
Memorable, I don't know. But the first one, I stumbled into it because I was in a band called The Town Monster many moons ago. And I was just minding my own business. And I'm in a band now called Damn the Witch Siren. And we were just, thank you, doing our thing. And then I got an email out of the blue, and this woman, it was the agent of one of the producers of the Blair Witch Project. And he said, hi, or she said, we want to use your song Atari Girl for the opening credits of this movie we're doing called Under the Bed. And I was like, that's weird. This is bullshit. This is a scam, obviously. And I was like, well, I wrote back and I was like, this is legit. And I was like, how did you find me? And it was her job, I guess, to dig me up. Like they tried to contact the Town Monster, but we had been broken up for a few years now. And so she dug through my pages and spied on me and found out my real name and found out that I was doing these other things now and contacted me through my personal email. And I just thought that was really strange. That does not happen often, just so you guys know. So yeah, that's amazing. How I got into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that happen a lot where I've seen music supervisors reach out to people on their Instagram, I need you to call me right now, or send me a message or check your DMs. So there are people that are looking for independent music out there. How about you, Brian?
Yeah, so this is quite a journey. In the mid 2000s, I connected with someone that was already pretty well connected in the sync industry and wanted to bring me on as a collaborator, and we got a couple licenses here and there. But it wasn't until college where my senior project was I decided to come up with a volume of sync licensing music and pitch it to a library. I thought that was really cool. I'd seen some artists get some success with that in the future. And he's on the other end, this gentleman was like, I think I have the right people to pitch this to. And so we pitched it to them, and this is my senior year in college, and he's like, this is great, this is everything that my library's been missing. I need 12 of these, you have 3 months. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna say no.
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted, yeah. But some of that music got some pretty interesting placements. We got a placement in the campaign for Secret Life of Pets. We got an Ethan Hawke movie. And that was a lot of fun. But it wasn't until about 2000 that I decided to really take the reins, because it was really because of his expertise that I had any success. So I was like, I need to find out more. And there was this really interesting cohort that happened online called Six Figure Songwriter that I had joined February 2020, so the month right before the world ended. And this was a group of about 300 singer-songwriters whose sole interest was getting their music into film and TV and video games. And I'm like, well, this is my chance. Well, I didn't know walking into it that I was going to be one of about 10 producers in this pool of people that want to get their song finished. So I quickly found myself producing for a lot of people, hanging on to some of the rights for some of these. And a lot of these songs ended up being in some really cool commercials and TV shows, and that was kind of my face first plunge into sync licensing.
Yeah. That actually leads into a point that I wanted to talk about at some point. Let's just do it now. So there are a lot of courses that you can take. There are a lot of classes that you can take to learn about sync licensing. You can go to conferences and things like that. And I know that Brian, you and Heather have been to a few of those too. I took the six-figure songwriting thing. I'm not a musician. I'm not a songwriter, but I wanted to learn more about sync licensing. So it was a really good education from somebody who was having success in that. So it gave me a lot of insight into the business. But one note on these things, they cost money. They cost a lot of money. The course that I took, I think it was almost $1,000 at the time, and that was 6 or 7 years ago. And the price has gone up. So be really careful making those decisions. There's a lot of stuff that you can find out on your own. Research these things on your own. What else could you do with $1,000 in your career? So don't necessarily go right for that. But those things I think can be really helpful for connecting with people, meeting supervisors, getting a really good handle on what this is all about. And then also, Heather, you've gone to some conferences too, right?
Yes, I feel like I'm the queen of conferences, and I really have found a value in showing up and meeting somebody face to face. It's the difference between a cold email and a warm email. It makes all the difference of, like, if you're reaching out to music supervisors, they're not going to open an email from a songwriter that they don't know, because they don't know if you have your business buttoned up, and that could be a liability for them. So for them to know that you're going to these conferences, like, there's some really good conferences out there that me and Brian go to, like Durango Songwriters Expo. That's a huge one where you get to pitch your music directly to music supervisors and meet them and showcase. It's incredible. And it's usually on a beach somewhere, so that's an added plus.
Can't hate that.
And then also Sync Summit in LA is another big one. And closer to home is the What Up Pitches, Whup It Up near Chicago. That's a pretty close one. And that one's definitely more educational, but you have some opportunities to pitch. And again, like, I've seen people go to those and walk away like getting a placement. So it really
not guaranteed, but
means something
it happens
to show up. Yeah.
One thing that I noticed with going to these sessions where music supervisors are who are pitching the music to. They are the middleman between the music and the production. So if they're working for one of the major studios, they're the ones that are kind of tasked with finding the music that fits with different scenes. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the future. But music supervisors are who you are trying to reach, who you're trying to get your music into. I've noticed that in a lot of the listening sessions, have you paid attention to how they listen to music at all, the music supervisors? It was weird the first time I watched them listen to it. They get inundated with new music, and it's just absolutely impossible for them to listen to all of that music, right? So they don't like start a song and just let it ride. They skip around. So they're skipping around to 15 seconds, 30 seconds, boom, boom, boom. So it's interesting to see, they're listening for a change in the music. They're listening for something that hooks them. They're listening for something that the vibe has changed in the music. So try that sometime with your own music. Skip around in your own music. Skip around from song to song. Does all of your music sound the same? Maybe try something different. Work with somebody else. Try a co-write with somebody else. Challenge yourself to try to come up with a different sound, because I think that's really what music supervisors are looking for, is something that's a little bit different, than what everybody else is already doing. So once you got into sync licensing, has that changed your writing process at all? When you're writing new music, are you kind of thinking about, could this be used for sync, or how to structure it for sync at all?
It definitely can. With Heather, Jason, and I, with our outfit Fine Citizens, we definitely have like a trajectory in mind. We have a sound in mind. The last song we finished, we put a picture of Jenna Ortega on the TV, and we're like, okay, guys, let's get Wednesday with this song. We're going for like that creepy, dark rock kind of vibe, and that kind of steered us in that direction. So coming to these production sessions with something in mind like that, like you don't have to be like so on the nose that like I want to be a copycat of this song that got placed for this opportunity. That opportunity is past. So you need to be true to yourself as an artist for sure. But if you can look at it as it'd be really cool to get on a show like this, and that doesn't change just how you write, but it changes what you do after you write. It changes after the production is over, because then you start to think about, well, who is making those decisions? Who is the music supervisor? How do I get in contact with those kinds of people? And it makes a lot of the business and the marketing angle a little bit more interesting.
Ziti, you have a lot of instrumental music, and instrumental music gets used a lot in sync licensing. If you think about it, there's something going on screen, right? So the music is not necessarily the biggest focal point. There may be dialogue that's happening over the music. There may be something that's going on, that the music is a really short snippet. And also, pay attention when you're watching TV or you're watching a movie or you're watching a commercial. You don't hear the whole song, right? So you hear like little snippets of the song. So start kind of thinking about your music in little bite-sized chunks like that. What does 15 seconds of your song sound like? Can you create this like emotional arc with your music in that span of time? Because that's about as much as it's gonna be used, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, maybe a minute. I think the only time you ever really hear an entire song is like end credits, and even then, like not even
like the
whole
big
thing.
reveal
Or a
at the end.
montage.
Yeah. Can you talk about that, Heather?
They so I actually met a music supervisor at a conference that I went to, and I sang this song, The Monster. I performed it, and she ended up using it on Netflix new-ish show called First Kill. It's like a vampire show. They used 3 minutes and 5 seconds of the whole song. It was literally the feature song for the finale episode. So that was pretty incredible.
That's amazing. Hey, Tony Rice, can we play that? Thank you. Give it up for Tony Rice, everybody.
It's been keeping you up at night, deciphering what's truth and lies. You can't run from me.
Do you notice how it changed there? The vibe completely changed. Her voice changed. The music changed. Try to change some stuff up in your music, right? Make it interesting. That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Tony.
Yeah, so that song, it obviously like fit perfectly for what she needed for that show. And I wasn't, here's something I would love to throw out there too. Don't try to write a jingle or because that's what people think sync music is, that it's like a jingle or something like that. Write an authentic song that's authentic to you, but clear some of the furniture from the room, like leave some space instead of maybe, I don't know, the typical Nashville style of writing where you're describing every single thing that's happening in the moment and you're describing a story. Maybe be more broad, use more universal lyrics. Because if you use stuff like certain street corners and colors of eyes and types of cars that they're driving, that might not work for a TV show. So I always kind of like think about that. Less is more, and use like a lot of oohs and ahs and like you said, Lisa, like dynamic changes for an arc. Like start low and build it to a point, because usually that's what happens in a show, right? There's like a dynamic epic arc to it. So,
and that gives the music supervisors a lot of stuff to work with too. If you've got like kind of this lower kind of part and then it kind of swells and then it gets really dramatic and then it gets kind of dark again and kind of quiet. And that you can do that in all kinds of different styles of music, regardless of what you play. How has your process changed at all?
I'll get back to that in 1 second. I don't want to derail, but like that's really true in a lot of ways. Like I guess I read somewhere, I don't know how true it is, but I guess you're like 50% more likely or something to get played on the radio and when the chorus hits your song, like the vocals jump up an octave. So just keep that in mind. Also, if you put the word radio in your song, the radio is like 99% more likely to use it.
They're talking about us.
So anyway, your initial question, how's my music changed because of it? Just I never thought I'd make so much instrumental music, but I've done tons now. And I find it really liberating for someone because you take your ego out of it a little bit. I'm used to writing pop-oriented music or whatever, and you're really trying to get people's attention and make them think about you and what you're saying and your feelings, my feelings. And it's really refreshing and rewarding to make things that take all of that away, and you're trying to serve something else. And it's just a really completely different way of thinking about it. And just trying to think about what it is that you're serving, and like the story. If you are working for a piece in particular, like a movie or show or a commercial, just think about like what would serve that scene or what would serve the theme that they're going for, and if you're just doing blanket stuff, I've done a lot more like blanket music that you can put up on licensing sites and stuff. There's a site called pond5.com. That you don't laugh at me. You can use to just blanket license music, and the thing that I've gotten the most traction from is I made a piece sort of inspired by Bridgerton because I'm a girl and I love Bridgerton, and I would never make music like that normally, but I made like a string quartet thing, and that has been licensed like crazy, and I never expected that. But and again, like he said, not copycat thing, but just inspired by, and just I think that was in the air at the moment because that was a huge show. And I made this thing, and I was like, I'll put this up. And I didn't expect much of it, but I think people were looking for that at the time. So just be mindful of what's going on in the culture right now, because everything moves so fast now.
And in an instrumental, you can still make it really dramatic. You can still, you're missing the vocal content and the lyrics and stuff, but you can still have changes within the song, make the chorus, this instrumental kind of chorus where it changes or it gets more intense or it drops down or whatever. So again, just play around. You're artist. Get creative, get weird, try some different things, and see what happens with it. Let's talk about co-writing. So how do you handle co-writes, and what's that process like? Because that's also kind of an important consideration too with sync, is like who else is involved?
Yeah, a lot to consider there, and you should consider all of it before you do any kind of work whatsoever. I'm a big fan of setting expectations before the work begins, and so very often I will sign what's called a split agreement.
Hey, Tony, can we put the split sheet on the screen while Brian's talking?
And so these are really important because they talk about who owns the rights to the song. It will talk about the writing and publishing side. So if you have a PRO, that's what's going to get logged into ASCAP or BMI, but it also talks about the ownership of the master. And all of that gets considered when something gets synced or when it gets played on Spotify or whatever. And so you want to make sure you do your due diligence so nobody feels left out, like this was a bad relationship or anything like that. So having those conversations ahead of time is, I think, really crucial. And then when it comes to co-writing, I mean, just finding a team of people that you can work with and be creative and know that, maybe this won't make any pitches or licenses anytime soon, and we're okay with that. We just want to make cool art.
And just building that relationship too, and don't be afraid to try to co-write with different people too. It really is it's a really deep relationship. It's like dating somebody, So you need to. Sometimes it's just not going to work out, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that they're a bad songwriter or you're a bad songwriter. Find your people and keep trying with different people. And I think when you work with different co-writers too, that can really challenge you. Maybe think of your own music in a different way. Maybe try something new because of this person. So that can be a really good symbiotic relationship that you have with people. And this is a sample split sheet. I can send this to anybody that needs it. This is just real basic stuff. Fill this out for every single one of your songs. It's like a birth certificate of your song. What's the name? When's the release date? Some of the different numbers on there, the ISRC code, the ISWC code, you're going to get those either from your PRO, which is a performing rights organization like BMI or ASCAP. You have to register your music with those places. If you're releasing original music, you have to do at least that, especially for sync licensing, because there's a clearance process, and they use this information to make sure that you own the song, you have the rights to license the song, so they want to see that information. They want to make sure that you're registered. So register with a PRO like BMI or ASCAP as soon as possible every time you release a song, and fill out these split sheets again, like Brian said, before you talk money at all. It's really hard to negotiate after, like, money's on the table and people are, the percentages are going up. Do this kind of agreement before you even get to that point. So fill out the split sheet. You are going to need this for sync licensing, so this is really critical. So filling out the split sheet and the song splits, again, it needs to equal 100% exactly. So if you're writing with two other people and you split it evenly, and it's 33.33 and 33.33 and 33.33 equals 99.99. That does not equal 100. So make sure that it equals 100, because that's going to create problems for you in the future. These numbers, again, are numbers that you would get from your PRO and from your distributor like CD Baby or DistroKid or whatever you use, or where you'll find these codes. And they're just kind of like digital codes that follow your music wherever it goes and tracks where it gets played. And you get paid money. We're not talking about a ton of money here from the royalties, but it's your money, so get it. Also, please note, especially for sync licensing, samples. Stay away from samples. Samples will not get cleared ever. So
Splice is also very contentious.
Yeah. What is that?
Splice.
Can you explain what that is?
Absolutely. So Splice is an online sample and loop service. So you can pay like $4 a month and have like 100 downloads. And what I like to do is I'll go there and I'll find a snare that I like, or a loop that I like, and then reverse it and pitch it down and do some crazy things with it so it doesn't sound anything like the sample. But a lot of people will take the samples or the loops themselves and do nothing to them and just use them as music creation kits. And music supervisors hate that, because they will start to hear these loops over and over again in other people's music, and that can get really tricky when, so first of all, there are a lot of different ways you can have a Splice license. It can be completely royalty-free. It can be different usage kinds of things. But for example, when you Shazam something, so if you go on your phone and you try to look up the song that's playing on TV to find out what it is later so you can listen to it, and there's a loop in there that belongs to another song or is played in multiple different songs, that can be really damaging to your song. So if you use loops, I love using loops as a producer, but make them your own, find ways to modify them, and make sure you're getting the legal stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we'll get into all of that. Tony, do you want to bring Heather back?
And Lisa, just like you were talking about with the performance rights organization, something I didn't know as a young songwriter, I thought with my performance rights organization with like ASCAP, I thought I just had to register as a songwriter, but you also need to register as a publisher or you're going to miss out on your publishing royalties. I did not know this. So I'm telling you this now. Sign up as a songwriter and a publisher. And I think it's free right now on ASCAP to just sign up for both.
So it used to be that BMI was free to join as a songwriter and then like $50 to join as a publisher or something like that. Now ASCAP is free and BMI has a fee. So I have no idea.
So I highly suggest doing that because otherwise you're going to miss those publishing royalties. So
yeah, definitely. So we want to make sure that our music is all legal, it's all registered, everybody's in agreement about how we're going to use the music and how we're going to split up the stuff. Let's talk about, just real quick, metadata. Can you tell us what that is, Brian?
So metadata is the stuff that I think we all hate to do, and that is coming up with like a description of your song, like a Twitter kind of format of what the song is, how long it is. The way that I like to approach metadata is I have a Google Sheets that has, and now that I think about it, I haven't updated it for a while. Thank you. I need to do that. And it's supposed to have all the songs that I have worked on, and then the splits. It talks about the genre, the duration, and all of the things that are necessary in describing this song. And this serves a couple purposes. One, when you plug your music onto a platform like Disco, Disco is a online platform that a lot of music supervisors go to look for music and to download. But all that metadata will be there, which is great because then they can search for tags. Like we need Southern rock music around 130 BPM. That's really useful. But the other thing that sheet can do for you is it can, this is a little bit off topic, but it can help you with things like, is this song currently under contract with someone? Is this something exclusive, or is this available to pitch? Because when you get briefs handed your way, the cart is a mile ahead of the horse here, I'm so sorry. But if you get a brief across your desk and you're like, oh, I have a perfect song for that, you can go back to that sheet and see if you do your due diligence and type the stuff in, is this song available for me to pitch? Or what sync agency is representing it right now? And who do I need to call to make that happen?
Yeah, I'll share an example of a brief in a minute. So a brief is a search that you get from a music supervisor when they're looking for music for a specific project. They'll send you an email and they'll tell you more about the project. So I'll share one of those in a few minutes and explain a little bit more about that. Let's go back to composing a little bit, because I want to stay kind of like on the writing aspect of it right now. How does that process work? Do you start composing for a piece? Because you composed a lot of the music for Poser. So shout out to Poser. If you haven't seen Poser, really great movie shot by independent filmmakers in Columbus, focuses a lot on the Columbus music scene. Lots of people in this audience are on the soundtrack, and also, I think, in the film of Poser. And Z was also in Poser as well, but then you also composed a lot of the music. How does that go? Is that all like filmed, and then you're composing to, how does that work?
That one was a little different because we were on the set every day with those guys, and I really, really wanted my music in the movie. So I was just kind of elbowing them every day. I don't encourage you to do this because don't be pushy. But like I knew they told me basically they wanted to look outside of Columbus and get some professional composers with experience.
Why would you do that?
Just composers with experience to do it. And they said they wanted to have a lot of classical music and stuff in it. And so I was like, okay, fine, kicking rocks. But I was like, the hell with that, though. I really want my music in this movie. So I recorded like 20 tracks of instrumental, incidental music, and I just sent them a Dropbox folder with it. And I was like, here's some stuff. If you guys want it, go to town. And they ended up using, I think, 5 of the songs. So I did not actually compose that one to the scenes, but after the fact, they did send them back to me for fixing it up and making it fit the scenes better. So that was a little different. But yeah, it was a really cool experience.
Tony, can we pull up Z's video? So this is a video that you composed some music to as well. So I think it really kind of gives a really good example of what composing is. Go for it. So really everything that you're hearing other than the sound effects is you, right?
You once told me it's where each of them in balance bring you. Seeing is all that's needed. They're lost when you're not here.
That's epic. Yeah.
Thank you.
So let's talk about what you use to record. I think like the tools of the trade that you use at home, because I think, so you record mostly at home, right, Z?
Entirely at home.
Okay,
And
entirely.
I'd really encourage all of you to just, at least if you're not looking to do that yourself, at least learn the ropes of it, because it's so beneficial in so many ways to learn how to do that stuff yourself. And it's so accessible nowadays. You can do it basically for free. If you have a computer, you can find a way to record and just learn the basics, because you can work so much faster. It's just like, it's a really, really useful thing to be able to do now.
So you could hear in that there was a lot of orchestral pieces, and you used synth a lot for your music as well. So you have a lot of options as far as the sounds that you can create from home. You can make something that's huge like that from home, from your computer. And Brian, obviously you have a studio at home, so you record at home. Heather, do you mostly record at home?
Yes, I do. So I've got my Neumann TLM 102 microphone, just a Focusrite, Scarlett Focusrite interface, like so low key, but it's been used.
I'm going to need you to like email me the specs of that, because everybody's like, what?
A Neumann into a Scarlett?
I know.
A Neumann into a Scarlett. Like,
Blasphemy.
how many songs have my shows been in? You
I'm
just
kidding.
need you need an industry standard microphone is what I tell people. Like, and this is the cheapest Neumann that there is, the TLM 102. So you
Perfect.
can do it, you guys,
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
you can do a lot from home. And if you're not
and I
comfortable doing that, we also have a lot of really great recording studios in town.
Yeah,
A ton of different options to like have recording time. Brian's available as well. Let's talk about recording different variations in sync. So we need some different variations as far as for sync licensing. This varies a little bit from, like, if you're just a singer-songwriter recording your song, you're putting on your album, you're probably doing like one version of it. You might have a version that's like, has explicit lyrics, and you've got a clean version, so you might do that. In sync licensing, you tend to have like different versions and different kinds. You break down the music in different ways, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So let's talk about that. Can somebody talk about the different variations that you create from one song in order to pitch it for music?
Yeah, I can touch on that. So this is a conversation you want to have with your producer ahead of time. Be ready for all of these different kinds of exports. When I export a song, it's going to be the final mix and master, the final instrumental mix and master, pre-masters of both of those, and then group stems. If you're not familiar with group stems, it's like multi-tracks, but much more condensed than that. So like in multi-tracks, you would have kick, snare, tom 1, tom 2. With group stems, you just have drums. But you want drums, synths, vocals, and all of that, so that if it gets to the mixing desk for the show or this TV, or for this ad, and the editor decides, man, it'd be really useful if I could, do a little bit of remixing on this. You already have all those available, so that they can remove the vocal when the dialogue starts back up, or get rid of the drums to add tension for the scene. So having those masters, instrumentals, group stems, clean edits, like you said. You can also do cut downs. which is where you take your song, your 3-minute song, and then do like a 60-second version, a 30-second version, a 15-second version. Now, sometimes that's kind of a shot in the dark because you don't know what section is going to be really useful for people, but having those kinds of options is just going to arm you for more opportunities. I'm also a big fan of something called the TV mix, which is where you do a full mix of the song and remove any kind of vocals that have lyrics in them. So Heather was talking earlier about doing oohs and ahs. You leave those kinds of things, your group shouts, your humming, anything like that, but remove any kind of lyrical vocal, and that just gives you more ammunition so that if a music supervisor says, I like this, but I need it yesterday, and can we get it without the vocal? You're like, yep, I have a TV mix ready for you.
I'd like to jump in real quick too and say, always, always, always keep your song files, like he said. It's just, keep your original files, because I was lucky that a band I was in and broke up with many years ago, I still had those files. Just get a Dropbox account or a Google Drive account. Because when they hit me up, they said, by the way, you dropped the F-bomb like 3 times in the song, and it's going to be on A&E and Lifetime. You can't do that. So if I hadn't had the original mix of the song anymore, then I would have been screwed, and I would have lost that sync. So make sure you have that stuff and have it readily available. Because a lot of times they'll also ask for changes last minute, and they're like, you need this today. So make sure you have it.
It's happened to me too.
Yeah.
It's crucial.
Yes, that happened to me, and I had to go back to the producer. Luckily, he still had the stems, but it was for a huge promo for like a TV show. So have those stems and those instrumentals on hand. And if you don't have them, just start from here on out doing that.
So just to recap, what you want to do is when you record a song, you want to make sure you have the original version. Any changes, if you have like a clean edit, you want an instrumental version. In the very, very least, have an instrumental version. I think it's great to have a TV version as well, like Brian said, and then also stems. Stems are like the isolated vocal track, the isolated guitar track. Those are used also a lot in trailers for licensing, like when you go to the movies and like previews are being shown. So like a lot of times just to like build drama, they'll start with just the drums, right? And then they'll bring in like one of the vocals, and then like by the end of the trailer, it's like intense and everybody's crying and like it's great. But like that's how stems are used a lot to really build, the scene up, build drama, make it a little bit more interesting. So you want to have those kinds of things, especially if you're interested in that aspect of that too. Also, I wanted to say lyrics. So one thing that I love that Z does with Damn the Witch Siren is sends me a book. It's actually beautiful. It's not just like a Word doc of lyrics. It's like liner notes of lyrics. Like it's beautifully done. But lyrics are really important because music supervisors are often looking for something that follows a certain theme or sometimes they're looking for key words, and I can't remember the words to every song in my catalog, so it really helps me to be able to search for those key words, find what I have that might work for a certain brief that I receive. So definitely have something with your lyrics on it too. And you also want to make this stuff really easy to share. So after you have all of that stuff together, we've got our split sheet together. We're in agreement with all of our songwriters that we're working with. We've got all of the different versions of our audio files. You want to make sure that those are like big files too, like WAV files,
24-bit WAV.
Exactly. So we want to make sure that they
48K.
have really...
I can't.
No. I was adding on to that.
48K, I'm sorry. I didn't say
24-bit, 48K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want these to be big files. Like imagine, if this is being played in a movie theater, it needs to be like really good. And you want to make the quality as the best that you possibly can. So we've got all of that. And then we are going to start sharing our music. So it's really important too to have a way to easily share that, have that all accessible, that if somebody asks for it, again, like Brian said, a lot of times this stuff happens really, really fast. You need to be able to put your hands on it. You need to be able to send it out to somebody right away. So there are a lot of different file sharing programs out there. Dropbox, Box, Disco. I just signed up for Disco this year. I like that. Disco is a paid one, so that's a little bit different, but I think Box and Dropbox are still free, or like have free versions. Because you're not, if you're sending music out to anybody like radio or music supervisors or whatever, don't attach your music. They do not want that. They will not click on that. Attach, within the email, have a link to your music that is shareable, that they can download it, they can have it, and they can also kind of preview it there too. So definitely do that. Where are we?
And if you're gunning for that stuff, just keep an eye on your inbox or whatever you're using. The services, a lot of times, sometimes these briefs, they'll say they need it like today, in a couple hours. So I don't know why they work like that, but all of Hollywood apparently just is just like pulling it out of their ass. So.
I've got an example about that one. So Tony, would you put that brief on the screen? So this is an actual brief that I received from a music supervisor, and that's the whole goal, is that you make these build these relationships with these music supervisors, and they start emailing you and asking about songs that you might have, because otherwise you're just kind of blindly pitching stuff out, and it's really difficult. So this is an actual brief that I received. I don't know if you can read it. True story. So I was in the grocery store when I received this brief, and I did something I've never done before. I totally abandoned my cart and walked out the front door and started making calls because I knew that I had a song that fits with this brief. And what happens here is once they send out this brief, the clock starts ticking, right? So I don't know if they sent this to 10 people or 100 people or whatever, but I've got competition out there and I need to kind of get in there early. They're not going to listen to 100 songs. They're going to listen to however many songs it takes until they start getting some songs that kind of fit with what they're looking for, right? And then they're going to stop. So you have to try to get in there quickly. So this is what an average brief looks like. So they're telling me a little bit about what the project is, what it's being used for. It's for a Netflix series called Tribes of Europa and how it's going to be used. So I don't know if I can read that. So the lyrics are not as important as long as the energy and vibe match the masculine ambient inside the place. So this is inside a bar and a fight is breaking out and they're about to escape. And they has to maintain a medium rock dirty barman for 3 minutes, whatever that is, and break to a faster pace exactly at three minutes where they start to run. So don't send rock songs with similar, try to match this requirement. So they attached another song, this song called Dark Knight that was in a Tarantino film, I think from Dusk Till Dawn. So I was familiar with the song. I knew what it was. I knew that I had a song that fit pretty closely with this. And again, we're not trying to copy what the brief was. We're trying to find something that has a similar kind of vibe to that as well. So, and then if you notice down here at the bottom, we have to send options today. So at this point, you either have it or you don't, right? So this is how they often go. The deadlines are super quick, so you need to be super prepared and ready for these things, these opportunities when they come up. Want to note here that this was a European thing, so there's that number that's blocked off there. That's not like a gigantic number. That's a range, and it was in euros, so you have to know what the conversion rate is to USD. And also, one really important note that I learned the hard way the first time, so that you don't have to, is if you are working with international sync licensing at all, when they pay you, they're going to take out a tax. It's called VAT. It's like international income tax. So they are going to take that out. It's about 20%. You can get a letter from the IRS that says you're based in the US and you don't have to pay that, and then you can save yourself that money. So my first sync license was actually a commercial in Japan, and I had no idea about VAT, but now I do. So I have this little letter from the IRS that's...
This is the VAT exception?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's like 4 and 6698 or something like that.
Thank you so much for that pro tip.
Yeah.
So that will save you from having to pay that tax. So I am frantically making calls in my car because the song that I thought would fit was a song from the Warren Flints called "Burn." And at that point, I wasn't working with the Warren Flints. I didn't know any of those guys. So I'm like sending messages saying like, "Hi, you don't know me, but you need to call me back right now. It's an emergency," because it's like really, really time sensitive, right? So luckily they did, and they were super prepared. They had already registered their music with the PRO. They had their files ready to send. Otherwise, I don't think we would have gotten this placement. Tony, can you play "Burn"? Oh, we started at the beginning. Okay, so "Burn" starts with this really cool, drum part at the beginning. It's like just really driving drums, and this goes on for a little bit, and then in a minute, it's gonna go down like that, right? And it maintains this dirty bar rock vibe that they're looking for most of the song like that. And then a little bit later in the song, you want to go to about 240. Okay, so now what's happening on scene right now is like things are getting a little bit more intense, right? So things are like, getting a little, they're doing shots, they're talking about escaping, and like they're getting ready for some action. And then right here, that's 3 minutes right there, where it changed right there and it got real intense, and then like all hell's breaking out loose in the bar. So it worked perfectly for that. So this song, "Burned" by the Warren Flints, was placed in this season 1, episode 5 of Tribes of Europa, which is a German Netflix show. And it was one of my favorite uses because it was just great. It fit with the scene. It was a great scene, great use of the music. A lot of times in sync licensing, it's 3 seconds in the background and you're like, yay. But you're, obviously you're still getting paid for that, so seriously, yay. But it's nice when you see it used in a really cool way. So let's kind of lead into that. Like, what is your favorite personal placement of your music ever? Let's get Heather back too.
So my favorite placement obviously was the monster in that Netflix show, like all-time favorite, because I literally met that music supervisor in person. I performed the song in front of her. She saw that it needed a need for the show that she was working on. And then literally I sent my follow-up email and she asked to use that song that I had performed.
That's awesome. That's really rewarding.
So it was like opportunity meets the moment. Like I was ready to meet the moment. I had all my stems, I had all my split sheets. I was ready to go. And months later, it ends up being on, and I couldn't talk about it for a good like 9 months, that's the grueling part. It's so hard. You can't tell anyone. And I didn't know it was going to be 3 minutes and 5 seconds of the song. So basically the whole song. And that led to like over 30,000 Shazams, like people opening their phone and saying like, who's playing this song? And it's over 120,000 streams on Spotify alone, and a bunch of downloads on iTunes. So that was like, honestly, a career maker, like that put me on the map as an artist in sync. And because of that, it really, put on my resume, it was like a notch on my resume to say like, hey, Heather is a valid artist, So all that to say, show up at things, have all your stuff ready, be professional, be ready to meet the moment, because like Lisa said, you have to be ready on a dime, So.
And that's part of the goal of sync licensing is, you get paid for the use of your song in this show, but hopefully it's going to lead to more opportunities for you. It's going to lead to new fans for you. Hopefully, if they're Shazamming you, then they're following you on Spotify. And if they're following you on Spotify, then maybe they're going to listen to your other music as well. And if they like that stuff, then maybe they'll follow you on Instagram. Maybe they'll follow you on Facebook. Maybe they'll go to your next show. Maybe they'll buy your merch. There are a lot of benefits to this beyond just the actual placement as well. And the most important thing is truly across all boards in your career, be as prepared as you can. Keep tightening up your organization and making sure that you're really ready. I think everybody in this room is really committed to treating their music as a business. So this is part of it, is being organized and being ready for things like that. What about any favorite placement that you want to share?
Yeah. I think my favorite placement was might have been like the smallest payout. And so, Z, I'm sure you do a lot of this type of work, like library volumes. Yeah, so doing library music is different than pitching your artist material to supervisors, because what you do is you come up with a bunch of music that follows a specific genre or vibe, and then find a library that's going to house all that stuff. And that library is available to different networks so that they can say, I need some instrumental background music for crime scene investigation, kind of forensics kind of thing. And so a couple years back, I did a volume of EDM music, just nothing but bangers. And when you get your ASCAP statement or your BMI statement, and you start to do this for a while, you'll start to see some shows that you've never heard of before. There's a trucking thing out in I don't even know what country it is, but I'm getting paid for it every 3 months. It's pretty cool. So I'm used to seeing stuff pop up in shows that are like completely unknown to me. But I'm watching Succession on HBO late last year, and this was when, if anybody watches the show, this is when Kendall had his big birthday bash, nothing but bangers. And Siobhan and Tom are at the bar and they're just talking, and there's this really bumping tune playing in the background, and I realized like 10 seconds into it, that's my song. And I'm like jumping off the couch, and my wife is like genuinely worried about me, but I'm like just losing my mind. This is the coolest thing ever. And so like when you, the payout I got from that was when I completed the volume of music. So I got paid by the library to make this music. And so when I looked at my ASCAP statement 9 months later, it was $30 or something like that. So it wasn't anything crazy, but like I got paid for it ahead of time, and I didn't even know that song was going to be on that show. So it was like just a genuine treat for me.
And that's how libraries work. Is they're more passive. A sync agent is like pitching your music out directly to people. A library is like a library. You go there and you search for what you're looking for, and you pay just to use it. So yeah.
You usually get less of a payout for library music, and I don't know.
But it can add up. It can really add up.
But then fun things happen, like you start getting ASCAP royalties from like some Finnish documentary, and you're like, what the hell? Yeah. And but be prepared to like lose sleep over it, because you're like, who's buying this? I want to know where it is. Where is the song? I want to. So that can be difficult.
There is a place that you can research what's being used in movies and TV shows too. It's called TuneFind. I don't know if they have a Finnish TuneFind, but tunefind.com. So you like all of the shows, you can go on there and it'll say, in this scene, it was like, they were making dinner and they started fighting, and this is what was playing in the background. It'll tell you what the song is, so that you can use this to start kind of researching what's being used in music, kind of get an idea of how music is used in these instances, right? And also just watch TV, watch movies, see how music is used. It's usually, pretty small. It's usually, to help add a different layer to whatever's happening on screen too. So think about how your music could kind of complement that as well. Okay, so we've created music, we've registered our music with the PRO, we have our music in a file that's easily ready to share with all of these different variations. We've got lyrics, we are ready to start pitching our music. How do we do that? What have you had success with as pitching your music?
I love this part, honestly. Most people are like, I hate this part. The scariest part, I think, for a musician is pushing the send button on the email. Literally, I feel like every songwriter that I talk to, they're like, I'm so scared to email this person. But something that I've told myself as an artist is like, what can I do to add value to whatever, whether it be I'm trying to reach out to a sync agency for representation to try to get my songs represented by them, for them to pitch it for TV shows and stuff like that. How can my music help them? What are the gaps that are on their roster that I can fill? And I'm making a lot of like dark cinematic stuff. And so I know that that's a thing that people need and a gap that I can fill. And that's something I can lead with and be like, hey, if you're looking for a singer-songwriter that does like dark cinematic trailery stuff, I'm your girl. What's up? Tell them a little bit about yourself. Be personable, because these are people behind the computer. You know what I mean? Like, don't expect anything in return. I think one of the worst things that we can do as musicians is act entitled and pretend like we deserve to have our music played or whatever, because they don't owe us anything. And you want to start off with like a human element and being trustworthy, because the worst thing that you could do is like burn that bridge, and get blacklisted. So lead with kindness. Know what you're pitching for. Like if you're wanting representation, know that that's what you need and what can you offer to help them and round out their roster. Or if you're pitching directly to a music supervisor, do your research. Don't email them if you don't know what they've worked on in the past. Never send an MP3. Have a streamable link that they can actually hear your music and be able to download it with all the good stuff. So
for sure.
I don't know. That was a lot.
Yeah.
But
no, like I think you want to keep it brief when you reach out to people. I don't want to know that you first started playing guitar when you were 4 years old, and then I hear your life story after that. I don't want to hear that. Tell me about what your music sounds like. What does it feel like, And, you can use some examples there. One huge benefit that you all have in this room as independent musicians is that your music is really super easy to clear because you're the only person involved in it, right? You own it all. You're not represented by a label. You are not with a publishing deal more than likely. So having music that's really super easy to clear is really important too. What were we talking about? Oh.
Where am I?
I know, that's why I have notes. I just go off on a tangent over here. So pitching music. So keep it brief. Do your research on the music supervisors that you're reaching out to or the sync agency that you're reaching out to. Try to find some common ground that you're trying to fit with them for. Were you going to say something, Zahir?
Yeah, and like I said, to make sure it's a warm lead. I know this is so weird because I'm on the technology. I don't know. Make sure it's a warm lead. Yeah. Don't just cold email people. If you don't know a music supervisor, that's one of the worst things you can do. Mm-hmm. Try to go to a listening session that they're in. Meet them, even if it's virtually, like online through a Zoom listening session. There's tons of Zoom listening sessions out there that you can jump in on. Meet them first that way so that they get an intro to you as an artist and get an intro to your music, and then follow up with an email.
Yeah. And follow up selectively. There's a fine line between being politely persistent and being a pain in the ass. So you want to make sure that you are on the politely persistent side, and just understand that maybe you're not the right fit for them, and that's okay. But maybe you're not the right fit for what they're working on right now, but it will be later. I get pinged all the time that somebody has downloaded a song that I sent out years ago. So they will use their email inbox as like a private search. Include keywords in there too. Talk about the style of music it is. Maybe drop in a key lyric or two that you think is really useful for them. Include information about how easy it is to, that you represent both sides, the BPM, different things like that. Maybe something that they're looking for, they're searching within their email for that, and if they find your song, then they might use that, right? So try to be informative, brief, polite, and just let it go. One of the biggest mistakes that I made really early when I was getting into this, first of all, music supervisors are a really elusive bunch. They don't want you to email them. They don't want you to find their email address. They get inundated with unsolicited pitches from independent artists, from labels, from sync agencies all the time. Their inboxes are just an absolute mess. They don't want you to contact them. So I did a lot of research, found a whole bunch of music supervisor emails, and then I just started sending emails once every couple months, here's some more music you didn't ask for from me. So that didn't work out great. I did get some great responses from that. It actually did lead to some opportunities, but it wasn't the way to do it. There's a better way. So research music supervisors that are going to actually use your music, and be realistic about it too. So there are a lot of music supervisors that work on really large projects. If it's the next Marvel movie, they're more than likely not going to use an independent artist, right? They have a huge budget. They're going to use whatever they want to. So it's unlikely that you're going to get anywhere with a music supervisor at that level. There are tons of independent projects that are out there, independent filmmaking. Also, just as a side note too, I don't know if you're paying attention right now, there's a strike going on in Hollywood, right? So there's a writer's strike, and there's an actor's strike, and it's really, really important, and they're doing amazing things with that, trying to really protect some major rights in terms of AI moving forward. So it's a really critical time for that. But what that means is that there's no movies being made in Hollywood right now. So independent films are being made. I think probably international films are being made, right?
I know A24 is still working, but that's
but
like it.
A24 is
so
still crushing
A24 agreed to the terms. So that's why they get to still keep film. A24 is a major studio. But the bigger studios are digging their heels in and letting it drag out, which is a shame. But there's still things being made. There are independent filmmakers that need independent music, So research those kinds of things, and also just make sure that you're a good fit. Be really honest with yourself. Do I fit with this or not? You don't want to waste their time sending them something that you just want them to hear that is not, anything that they're looking for. That's not going to work out for you.
I just want to add too that you should have thick skin about it. It's probably really easy. This might be obvious, but it's 9 out of 10 times, or 99 or whatever out of 100, you're not going to get picked for a sync. So you can't get your feelings hurt if they don't answer you or if they say no. because that's just how it goes. You have no idea why they said no. There's probably a million different reasons it could be, but.
Absolutely. Yeah, so all you can do is be prepared and keep working in it. Make really, really, really good music. I can't stress that enough. Make really good music, and keep getting better. Keep learning more. Keep trying different co-writes with different people. Get creative. Try some new things. Make some interesting new music. I think we're at a time where we need to start taking some questions now too. So I'd imagine that you have a million questions. So we're going to try to keep it kind of rolling too. So please try to keep it to one question and kind of keep it brief. And I may very politely cut you off at some point too, just because we need to keep going. So I don't know if Olivia or Bruce, are we out there with the microphone? Okay.
Questions, raise your hand.
Can we turn the house lights up a little bit too? I can't see a thing.
Lisa, does
Yes.
everything need to be
Where are you coming from?
copywritten?
Okay.
She's gone.
No, more light. What'd you do?
Do things need to be copywritten?
Okay,
First.
so
What's the first step?
most definitely register it with a PRO like BMI or ASCAP. So copyright. Do you guys copyright your songs? Yeah.
No.
So
Nope.
I don't
Sorry,
know
got a
anybody that
copyright
really
on
does.
it.
So most independent artists do not copyright their songs. So the really confusing thing about copyright is whatever you create is you automatically have the copyright of it anytime you set it into any sort of tangible form. So you write the lyrics, or you write the sheet music, or you record it into your phone, or you recorded it. You automatically have the right. You own the copyright. So you have the right to reproduce it. You have the right to distribute it. You have the right to create derivatives. There are 6 different rights that you have. That doesn't mean that nobody else can do anything with their music. It means that with your music, it means that they have to ask your permission first, and they have to pay you. Now, where copyright comes into play is if somebody uses your music and doesn't get your permission and doesn't pay you, if you want to sue them, then yes, you need to file copyright in order to be able to sue somebody. Otherwise, you automatically own copyright. Everybody in this room that's ever released music, you automatically own the copyright of whatever you've released, period. So you have the exclusive rights to be able to do whatever you want to with that music as long as somebody asks you and they pay for it in some way, So in sync licensing, that means it's a contract. They are asking permission to use the master and to reproduce this in a way, and you're giving them that right, and they're paying you for it. So no, you do not have to file copyright with the Copyright Office. You absolutely can, but it is not required.
First step is really performance rights organization,
Absolutely.
like ASCAP or BMI.
Yeah, that
both
is
the songwriting
critical.
and publishing. Don't forget publishing.
I got here late, so maybe you guys talked about this. Without having connections to supervisors, how do you know about different movies that are coming out ahead of time? Because by the time I know about it, it's going to come out in like 3 months.
So
2 months.
IMDb is a great resource for that. So IMDb is like the database it was like the International Movie Database, I believe. So it's a database of all the movies that have already been released and also that are in production now. So what you can do, there are a couple of different ways that you can research this. So you can go to IMDb. What you're looking for are movies that are in production right now. That means that they're shooting the movie right now. So the music supervisor is kind of thinking about music now. They may not, have a whole bunch of music kind of plotted out until they see the actual finished product of the film. But the music supervisor has probably been assigned. You can go on there to the additional cast and crew, and you can see who the music supervisor is. So that will tell you the name of the person that is picking the music for that film or that production. Another area is post-production. If the movie's in post-production, then they've finished filming and now they're attaching music to what they've filmed as well. Then there are also a lot of industry kind of magazines like Deadline and maybe Variety, where you can just subscribe to them or follow them on Instagram or whatever, and they'll announce all the time, new movie coming out with these actors, and it's going to be released in, September 2024 or something like that. You can kind of follow along from there and kind of identify projects that you think you'd be a good fit for.
Something else you can do, if you don't mind me piggybacking,
Please.
is you can start to research the shows or the movies that have a sound that you can jive with. So what you can do is be like, oh, this show I like, has a sound that I can absolutely contribute to. You figure out who is in charge of that, and then skip the line. So this might mean, going to events where, if these people come out to these events and just introducing yourself and just saying, hey, are you working on anything right now? A lot of times they can't say because they're under NDA, but like, what kind of music are you searching for right now? And just, again, put your networking hat on and, be a good person. But figuring out those kinds of things can be another really cool avenue, and not just knowing like movie schedules, but like, what are people searching for?
Yeah, and just
Also,
pay
get
attention to
yourself-
shows. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Also, get yourself a really good rep or agent that they are actively getting briefs from these type of people, because a lot of times music supervisors don't want to work directly with artists because they get inundated with artist emails. So they want it from an agency that has a lot of music on their roster, that they can get a big lump of music instead of just one individual track at a time. So reach out to licensing companies. Look at the companies that some of your favorite artists who have gotten songs on TV shows like me, who I'm repped by, who this artist is repped by, who this artist is repped by. I follow the hashtag sync licensing and hashtag music licensing. And usually people post their placements that they get, like, oh, I just got a song on this show. And then I go back and say, okay, what company pitched that song for them? What company got that song placed for them? And then I'll follow the company and then get to know the company, see if they're getting lots of placements. And if they are getting lots of placements and it's like in a vein that I live in, like they do a lot of trailer stuff or whatever, then I'll reach out to that company and be like, hey, would you be interested in representing my music? That's probably a smarter way to go about it, is to go to the agencies instead of directly to the music supervisor, because you're just going to get a door slammed in your face, and I don't want to see that for you.
Yeah, it's really hard to contact them.
I just want to add really quick too that I don't know if anyone's talked about this yet, but pretty much all syncs, they don't tell you what the project is, so you don't know. So there's no point in you going and covering the Batman theme song, like I'm going to be in the next Batman, because you're not going to know what the sync is. So just listen to your heart and make music that you like to make.
Absolutely,
and hope
that's
that works.
really the core thing, is make authentic music. Nobody can make the music that you are making. Make the best music that you possibly can, and then keep getting better and better and better.
And make more of it.
Yeah.
You can't write the song. You can't listen to a song that you're making and be like, oh yeah, this is going to be the one. I can just feel it. No, just keep making more music.
There was this study done that I guess they had 2 classes, and like they made one class of people work really hard for like 2 weeks on a piece of pottery, like clay. And then they had another group where they had a whole bunch of people make like 10 pots in 10 days or something like that, and without fail, all the people that made 10 pots did better in the end than the people that made 1 pot. So make a lot of shit.
A lot of shit.
Other questions? Okay.
First of all, thank you for this. Second of all, I am on the other end of this. So I am working with a lot of local independent filmmakers. And I can tell you right now, there's at least 8 local films that some of them are being made, some of them we're waiting for the strike to be over. They probably won't be filmed until later. I am the #1 fan, poser posse leader right here. So I want to talk about also, because I started these filmmaker gatherings, and one of the things that I've said to them, no offense to Pond 5, but I'm like, please don't go on Pond 5. Please use local music.
Absolutely. I think that's such a natural fit for independent films to use independent musician. And we have a great film commission in town, and in different cities as well. And it makes sense for those to work with independent artists in their own town where it's being filmed. It's
so.
I really quick, I want to trash talk Pond 5 too real fast while we can, because I do use it, and it's just like another way. Like I'm trying to build a lot of avenues of passive income, and so you don't get a lot of money.
That's the
from
whole
this.
goal, is to just have money showing up in your mailbox.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. I mean, free money almost. But I will say, since summer of last year, Pond 5 moved to a subscription service. So I've been making less money since then. Subscriptions are ruining everything. That's how it goes. But I will say, if that is a good place to dip your feet in, because they'll take any kind of music if it's good enough, they'll accept it, and then you just make passive income from it. So I do think it's a good thing to do.
I don't know about Pond 5, but Audio Jungle, who is another competitor of theirs that does the cheap library kind of stuff, I pulled my music from them recently because they started putting a clause in their contracts that was talking about how they could use anything that was on their servers as AI learning.
That's crazy.
And yeah, and so I'm like, no, you can't do that. It's mine. So don't put your stuff on.
Did you have a question? Or did we cover you?
Is there a part 2?
There's not a part 2. I just want to say there are a lot of local films being made, which most people don't know, and I've been working really hard to pull that community
Fantastic.
together.
Thank you.
I now have 200 filmmakers, and we try to meet once a month. Not all of them show up every month, but there are a lot of us, and we need the local people and the local artists. We meet
maybe
all different places every month.
Yeah. How can we find out more?
I want to join your club.
I know, and I'm a little.
Let's help each other.
Let's let other people ask questions, and if people want to come to me later, they could.
Okay.
Let's do it that way.
That's great, though.
Cool.
Yeah.
This is Molly Crosby,
so
by the
much.
way.
And then also just a note on like pricing for this stuff, especially for independent things. It's not a lot of money for like lower kind of things. I think I don't know if anybody's comfortable sharing pricing. Most of the syncs that I've placed, they've been under $10,000. So usually they're like in the $2,000 or $3,000 ranges, but I've placed things as low as like $100. And there are certainly placements that are multi-million-dollar deals. Like the next international ad campaign for iPhone, that is going to be life-changing for whoever gets that placement. But there are a million little micro syncs, and like there are corporate training videos, there are wedding videos that license music and need to use that music. And there's like a lot of just like little teeny tiny sync licensing, and then every once in a while maybe something a little bit bigger too. But it's all over the place, and there's no formula here at all. It kind of depends on the project, on the use. Is it local? Is it international? How long is it being used? Is it just online? Is it in the theater? So there are a lot of different variables here too.
Also, I guess you should say that obviously movies are going to be more coveted than like a commercial. So you're gonna, those are going to be a lot more competitive and coveted and harder to get, but pay more. And commercials, there's a lot. There's thousands of them or whatever. So
Yeah, so a lot of different opportunities, regardless of what kind of music you're into.
Okay. Can you maybe speak to like a little bit of the difference between pitching music that's like a song and then also instrumentals? I know a lot of people are using like disco and box now and things like that, but you also talked about posting to like music libraries and sort of like the difference in doing that and how you'd go about pitching versus like something with no lyrics.
Well, tell them that it's an instrumental, depending on where you're pitching it to. So if you're sending it to a music library, it truly is just kind of submitting that music and uploading that music. You'll fill in a lot of information in there. Tags are really important in that world because people are searching for things. You want to make sure that if you wrote a song about, having coffee on the beach and you are a female guitarist, then you want to tag all of that stuff and tag the mood, tag, maybe even key kind of things, the key lyrics, the BPM, different things like that, because that helps you pop up in more searches, right? So tag things appropriately. But then also, if you're pitching it to somebody, directly, just say it's an instrumental. And, if it's an instrumental version of an original version, include them both and go from there.
Oftentimes they will tell you whether they want an instrumental or lyrics, and they will also say like they're looking for something that has a lyric like this in it, and so you try to fill that gap. And also a lot of these people, you have to remember, are not musicians themselves, so they will say super weird, vague things, and you're like, what the hell does that even mean? And it's up to you to kind of decode what they're trying to look for, and you say, I have something like that, and you're probably wrong. That's how it goes.
But keep trying.
Yes, keep trying.
I haven't gotten this much exercise in a week.
Thank you, sir. First of all, thank you so much for making the time to do this. We really appreciate this. This has been incredibly informative. So I'll try and keep this concise. We have our split sheets. Everything is registered with ASCAP. We have our vanity publisher, our stems for everything. It's all up on Disco. All lyrics are available. We have all of our metadata filled out. We took R.A. Herstand's sync licensing course. We have a track signed with Vo Williams, yet to be placed. And we had a random placement from CD Baby where Chiat Day placed a song we never pitched before. So, making the connection with the music supervisor that gives you a chance seems to be either luck or knowing someone already in the industry that makes a connection for you, or spending money to try and meet people at conferences so your emails are, as you say, warm instead of cold. So we understand that success is where preparation meets opportunity, but with the sheer amount of competition in this industry, could you comment on how one can shift this struggle from feeling like you're trying to win the lottery to something an individual can actually influence the direction of?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
This is my question.
For real. So yeah,
That's
it
me.
is super competitive out there. And remember that we're competing with not only other independent artists, we're competing with labels, we're competing with publishing libraries, we're competing with publishers, we're competing with sync agents. So it's incredibly competitive and is absolutely very hard to break into, and it can be really hard to have any success in it at all. I think really it does come down to continuing to try to build relationships with people. And again, I don't want to encourage anybody to go and spend money to go to a conference or take a class or anything like that. But there are a lot of other ways that you can kind of get in with music supervisors. And there are a lot of free kind of discussion groups. Just keep popping up in those things. They keep seeing your name in those groups and being active and asking thoughtful questions and kind of contributing to those things, and keep pitching your music for things as well. Again, it may not be the right fit for what somebody's looking for right then, but it may be later.
Heather, have you ever had any repeat customers or like built relationships
Yes.
with people and it led
I
to
have
other
so
things?
many things. Okay, I have a lot of things. This is a very exciting question for me for a lot of reasons, because something that I'm really passionate about is coaching other artists who feel this very way. Like, I don't know how to do this. It feels like winning the lottery. You know what I mean? Because I have felt all those things too. So I feel like, number one, get a mentor, get somebody who's going to hold you accountable. So someone like me, someone like Brian, depending on what your needs are, have someone in your life who can speak into your life and say, when you're feeling stuck, like, what do I do next? Like, I'm not sure who to reach out to, where to go, what the next step is. Like, have someone in your life who understands and can point you in the right direction. And then also, it sounds like you're ready to meet the moment. So just getting into the circles with the right people, meeting the right people. I know that sounds crazy, but pretty much all the placements that I've gotten to this point are from meeting people. And that really does make all the difference in this industry. It's a relational industry. And like I said, they're not going to work with people that they don't already know. And yes, it is true that I have been hit up by Ashley Newmeister. She used my song in the Netflix show. She's working on all kinds of different shows, and she's asked me to write songs for in-show moments where another singer is singing the song. She had me write the songs for it. So once you get those established relationships, they will come back to you and ask you to write stuff. And then another music supervisor, he's actually on the Guild of Music Supervisors. He reached out to me and Brian personally to write a custom song for a commercial in Austria, which was amazing. It was a huge opportunity. But just getting in the room with the right people, meeting them. There's a lot of online opportunities, like I was saying, through Sync Summit. Go to syncsummit.com. They have listening sessions that you can literally jump on there, see different music supervisors that are literally giving their time to listen to people's music, and they'll give feedback, and that gives you a warm lead. And I do those once a month, whether I need to or not, just to stay in the room with people. So yeah, get a mentor, get somebody who can help you. And I've got actually cards, I think, all around on the tables that feel free to reach out to me after this, you guys. Consider me a resource locally. I'd love to meet up for coffee or on a Zoom. And
again,
yeah,
Heather is
help
in
you guys.
Columbus. I mean, she's with us remotely right now, but she's in Columbus. So Heather is a Columbus artist.
I want to add to that too. Is anyone here a solo artist trying to do this? Yeah. Do you guys have a bestie or whatever that will be super honest with you? Because if you can't, a mentor and a peer are kind of, we'll do a lot of the same things. If you have a friend that will be brutal to you and be like, hey, this sucks. And that's really useful because like it's so easy to just like get clouded with your like, oh man, this is awesome. I love this beat. I'm the shit. And like to have someone be like, nah, that's not really that good is really, really actually a very powerful tool at your disposal. My bandmate Bobby, like she'll do that to me and it stings for a second, but you know what though? Like it's so great that we can be honest and collaborative with each other like that. And also sometimes I'll be making something and think nothing of it. And she'll be like, that's awesome. Give me that. I'm going to make something with that. And then she made Claire Danes out of it. It's something I was screwing around with during lunch. And like, you never know. People hear things differently than you do. So,
yeah, and also like surround yourself with people that can encourage you in the really rough times. I remember talking with Heather, and she was at a point where she's like, nothing's really catching right now. And then it was like a week later, and like, I got this really cool thing. So it can happen. It tends to happen randomly, but like surround yourself with people that are like encouraging you to keep moving forward and just keep making dope art during the times that you're not making those placements.